aka IronManLifestyle. And what I'm going to be talking about, which he doesn't know, he actually doesn't know the topic. He doesn't know yet. I haven't revealed this to him yet. But what I want to talk about is what is the difference with people who get it and people who don't get it. And here's what I mean by this, because this is what I didn't understand when I was younger, okay? So when you are somebody who is either broke or lacks social skills or is emotionally just not a happy person, and you're just not, quote unquote, one of the cool kids yet, so to speak, the cool kids, right, who is, I know I'm not, but you know my point, right? Like when you're not somebody who's on the in crowd, who can easily get in with people, whether that's in social skills, meeting other guys that you want to network with, women that you want to network with, or maybe people that you want to date, how to be an ambassador for your brand, whatever it is, when you're not at that point, you often feel like you're on the outside looking in. And it's like there's these cool kids that somehow get it and you don't get it. And it's like, what do I not get? Like, why do they get to be cool and I don't? Like, how come I go to a bar club and this one dude's tearing it up and has dates lined up for the week, but I can't even get someone to talk to me? Why is I go to a networking event and there's some people that are popular at that event and some aren't? How come some people just get to become, as an example, not that this is the pinnacle or anything, but a social media influencer and they get paid millions of dollars. They just sit around in mansions and at parties and have a wild social life and dating life, and they get paid all this money, and then they just travel around and have fun, and I'm just stuck here working this shitty fucking job. What is it that I don't understand? And the way we're going to try to explain this to you in this video is it's almost like a kinetic chain. And that kinetic chain starts inside your mind, and then that transfers and externalizes into your behavior, right? Because your beliefs becomes your behavior. And then your behavior starts creating all these self-fulfilling prophecies, which then creates reference experiences, which then affirms those beliefs that you have, okay? And so what we're going to be trying to show you in this video is certain results, how to certainly have a way better social life, also how to make a lot more money, but really how to understand what is it that people get that you don't. Now, as we go into this, by the way, and I'm really, really excited about this, I also want to make sure that you're aware that the best work of my career that I've ever done has just come out in the program called Blueprint Reloaded. So what I want you to do is, as we go into this, if you like what it is that you're learning here, and I know that you're going to, click this link below and get inside the program, Blueprint Reloaded. Blueprint Reloaded, and believe this or not, is an 80-hour program that I put together. It is completely exercise-driven, and it's meant to be a powerful, powerful experience of change work. And so this is not just getting more theory, but rather, there's theory in it, but it's not just getting more theory. It's the most action-oriented program I've ever put out. I spent 5 years teaching the seminar of Blueprint Reloaded. I no longer teach it, but I spent 5 years teaching it. We charge about $5,000 for everyone to attend. There's been several celebrities to come out of it now. There's been many, many millionaires to come out of it now. And of course, thousands and thousands of people who just got really, really good social skills and had a better dating life and got to meet people and maybe got married, as an example, things like that. So this program creates results. It also has a forum that is very intense with coaches inside the forum. It has, I think, about 4 coaching calls a week. And it's loaded in there, all for a very, very inexpensive cost. So if you want to get inside Blueprint Reloaded and you want to make more cash, have better social skills, be more spiritually tapped in, and be on the inside and be somebody who gets it, I basically spent a half decade of my life laying all this out and doing the most insane transformation work that you've ever seen. It's got stuff about public speaking, how to be an ambassador for your brand, social media influencer, how to make money, how to find your purpose, how to build social circles, OG social skills, like the best new stuff on OG social skills. Unbelievable program. Get inside there because for a limited time, we're actually going to be also including the Blueprint Decoded, which was the other program that I spent 5 years creating back in my early 20s. So if you get it right now, you get the coaching, which will be removed. You get Blueprint Decoded, which will be removed. You get the forum, which will be removed in the future. And also you wind up getting it, by the way, for a much, much better price. So we're doing this during the launch period. Get inside Blueprint Reloaded right now. I'll see you inside there. If you care about your life, it's just your life. Hop inside Blueprint Reloaded. I'm excited to meet you in person inside the program and excited for your life and your results. Okay, this is the most poppin' thing I put out. Best game in town. Look, if you don't get 10x the results out of it, of what you currently have, refund the fucking thing, honestly, as long as you've been through it, done the exercise, been inside the forum, been inside the calls. If you don't get 10x the results out of it, refund the fucking thing, okay? It's that fucking good. Expect an incredible transformation. All right, so.
Yes.
Right now, what does it mean, someone who gets it? And here's what I mean by this.
Yep.
Someone comes in here, say we're hanging out with our friends, and maybe we're hanging out with girls.
Yep.
and they're kind of on the periphery, on the outside with the girls, right? And the girls are
Hovering.
like, yeah, they're kind of hovering, and they're
Kinda
kind of like, hey, who's
hovering.
this one? Right? Or maybe we're doing some kind of entrepreneur networking.
Yep.
And someone kind of comes in, it's like, okay, well, who's this guy? Okay, right? Maybe we're just out on a nature trip, right? We're enjoying it and taking it in. And then there's that guy who can't stop being negative or, can't just enjoy the fucking thing, right?
Yep.
Their mind is shut down. They can't, maybe you're just hanging out socially at a restaurant and, we're just joking around being idiots and having fun. And they're like self-monitoring and trying to analyze what it is that people think of them.
Yeah.
And then trying to fit in and overthink it. They can't just be cool, right? So what would be, because I have a lot of takes on this because I've struggled with this in my youth.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so what would you
I've done
say,
enough, yeah.
what are the changes that you've made
Yep.
as you built your empire? What are the changes? We've introduced you in a previous video. If you haven't seen the previous video with him, you got to check it out, okay? This guy's basically the biggest baller in fucking India. You got to check this shit out. But, assuming that you understand who he is, IronManLifestyle, what would you say are the things that people don't get?
Yeah. So firstly, what I've seen with myself, and I'll just talk from first-hand experience of when there was a time when I didn't get it and that now I kind of get it, is like one, if I'm anytime in a situation, like a new situation, all the situations that you said, like going to dinner, being at a party, being at a networking event, if I take the time to go in my head and I self-doubt, I start judging myself or I start doubting myself or I start second-guessing myself, that is when I fall out of the getting state. Like I just don't get it because now I'm logically thinking, I'm analyzing, then I go into a self-judgment state and then my self-esteem kicks in and then it's like, and then all those times come up which is like, you remember when you were like 7 years old, this had happened, so you're not good enough because of that. Versus when I just go in with a blank mind and I'm just going to go in, just like, for example, just talk to the first person or like enter inside and like say hi to the first person and be like, yo, what's your name? And the moment I open my mouth or the moment I walk into the door, I go in with confident, open body language. I go in with a loud voice and I feel it's a switch that I can just switch up. If I tell myself to do it, I can do it. And once I start off like that, just one thing leads to another, it leads to another. And the sweet spot is also when you talk in that manner, you get positive reinforcement from the front. Let's say there's like 5 people there. You enter in and you're like, hey guys, all 5 of them look at you. Versus you entering, you'll be like, hey guys. And nobody looks at you. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm a piece of shit. That's why nobody looks at me. Versus you entering and be like, hey guys. And 5 of them are looking at you. You're like, oh, I'm a fucking baller. So that has been the biggest thing. If the start gets fucked up, then I think it becomes very hard to recover. You can always recover. But if I don't lead at the start with like, yo, this is it. I'm not going to have another chance at it. And I treat every opportunity that I get as if it is the last one, then I'm going to win. And I'm going to get it. But if I don't, then I'm going to slip into that slippery slope. And then it's just very difficult coming out of it.
Mm-hmm. So that would be a huge social one, right? And I can definitely say like, I'm just building on what you're saying. I remember all those years of my life. I'm 44 right now as we're recording this. And I can remember being 22, 23 and having success, but then having periods of weeks. And I remember in one case, it was like a month and a half or something of just this brutal dry spell. And it felt like everybody who I talked to just didn't want to talk to me. And honestly, you kind of feel like you just want to throw away the whole project of getting better social skills.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, it's not working. Maybe this is just not possible. But you've had some successes, so you could see that there was a mind state that you entered into where it did work. But then you've kind of slipped out of it, and it's like you can't find your way back. I found in my case, that would happen because I'd had a couple successes. And then I'd sort of built an ego around that.
Yeah.
And then rather than going in and just sharing and being fun and not expecting anything, but then funny enough, when you don't expect anything, then your energy's nice and then people like you.
Yes.
I was going in there needing it to work to get affirmation that I was this new person who had sorted out this problem of social skills. So I have these haunting memories of me just kind of going around in Canada, just like try to talk to people and just being like, wow, like, when is this gonna let up? Like when is this dry spell gonna break? This is so crazy. And over time, I almost felt like I had to hit rock bottom. And in hitting rock bottom, it was the realization like, there's nothing here for me. Like there's nothing that these people can give me that I can't give to myself. They can't make me happy. I have to make myself happy. And in a weird way, the ego that got built up from some successes got eroded to where I just went back to almost what you might call base level consciousness. I'm just there. I'm me. I'm not this like new cool guy.
Yep.
I'm not a bad guy. I'm just me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I feel like what it does is it shifts the flow of the energy to where now the energy, rather than being a taker energy, becomes a giving energy.
Yeah.
And I think what happens for guys who don't get it socially is that there is nothing the other person can give you that you can't give yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to be a sort of, almost like this sort of contained, I don't want to call it an entity because entity could have weird connotations, but almost like a contained entity where, you know, if you're this entity that has these holes in it and energy is just leaking out, like, please, people can feel that.
Yeah.
But you have to be sort of like this person where it's like, you have your North Star of life.
Yeah.
You know what you want out of life. You know what your boundaries are. You know what your reality is.
Yep.
You know what kind of energy you want around you. You know how to add good energy to that conversation, not because you're trying to get something, but because there's a joy in giving it. And when you're someone who has what you need, and the real joy just comes from what you're adding, like when me and you talk,
Yep.
you've made your money, I made my money, you've got an amazing girlfriend, you've had a wild social life prior to that, like too much perhaps. You know, I've got a fun social life.
Yeah.
You know, so we're sitting here, you don't need to talk to me. I don't need to talk to you.
Yeah.
But because of that, I'm having fun talking to you.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking to myself, like when we're talking, I'm not mentally looping on how could I get IronManLifestyle to think I'm cool? Like that's not looping in my mind.
Yeah.
What's looping in my mind is this is my friend. I want him to have a good day. How can I, you know, put a smile on his face, have a good time, maybe share some insights that I have related to his business that could help his business.
Yeah.
And it's an offering. And it's like, that's an offering.
Yeah.
If you appreciate it and receive it, thank you.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's also okay because maybe you're in a different state of mind. Maybe you're not currently in a current state of mind to absorb that. Maybe you're having, not that you are, but you know, in theory, someone could be having a relationship problem or they're maybe stuck up in their head because they're dealing with something. So if they don't receive it, that's also completely okay.
Yeah.
And so then if I'm coming from that space where I'm adding energy, and then you're coming from that space and you're adding energy, that energy is like two logs on a flame. It's building energy.
Yeah.
And then you come out of that interaction, I come out of that interaction inspired and in a weird, freaky way, healed. Because when you're around other cool people, it heals you. Because people that are stuck in isolation become weird, crazy people that do damage to society. They get super dark. And what winds up happening is, ironically, that darkness makes them into it transmutes them into a black hole. Then they need. They're desperate. The hungry don't get fed, and then they struggle to make friends, and they struggle to have a genuine interaction. You know, like you know, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a beautiful boat trip, and it's like imagine like I'm doing that with a lovely companion of mine.
Yeah.
But the point being is like, let's say that I did bring a bunch of my friends. Could we all be on that boat, just you know, talking shit, having fun, joking around, and enjoying it? Or, you know, say that we brought a couple guys, couple girls. Are the guys like, oh, am I going to get the girl? Am I going to get the girl? And they get all weird. And then now they're like, it's like they're talking to the girl. And then your other guy friend comes up and tries to join the conversation, but they won't even look at their other guy friend because they're a fucking leech.
Yeah.
And then they're just like that, viewing them as a threat and just locking in on this like thing that they're trying to get energy from. And it's like the Gollum in Lord of the Rings, the precious. And then the girl senses that, so then she doesn't want them. And then she goes to the cool other guy who was actually having fun, who was giving energy. Now he's deeper in Gollum mode. He feels like the world's against him, but he doesn't realize that he is in a living hell of his own generation. Like he's generated his own hell.
Yeah.
And life can be heaven or hell. And, you know, that's why when we realize that, you know, the beauty of life is in the giving and the beauty of life is in, you know, what some people might call connection to God and, you know, being tapped in, realizing that we have what we need through God. And if you're not a believer in God, then, you know, through the world, the beauty of the world and of your short life. Let's not get hung up in a spiritual dilemma or spiritual debate. But the point is like, whether it's spiritual for you and that's how you experience it, or whether you experience it as the fucking world and your short fucking life, like Ayn Rand style, Jean-Paul Sartre style, you know, Nietzsche style. For whatever reason, like you value your life and you're fed and sustained emotionally and energetically by being tapped in. And then as you add to that social interaction, knowing that it offers you nothing, but knowing that you have something to add to it, that other person senses that. They want to give their gift. That gift could be sex. That gift could be dating. That gift could be a nice day. That gift could be business advice. That gift could be working together. That gift could be genuine friendship. That gift could be taking in the fucking sunrise. That gift could be smelling the fucking roses. But whatever that gift is, you know, they're there to give that to you, and then you receive it. So, say that you do have sex with somebody.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's like, no, I had fun adding to them. They happen to be receptive of that.
Yep.
And they wanted, and to almost like the two burning logs that are going, they wanted to add to that. Maybe you're having that party out in Malibu on the beach. Your friends are there. You're singing, you're dancing, you're having fun. And, it's kind of a natural progression that people, have a little fling at the end of the night. That's normal. That's called humanity 101. That's normal and how it plays out amongst friends and people who you met and new friends. But a lot of the old school community ideas, it was very much in a frame of like, we're not cool, we'll never be cool, we're fucking parasites, and then from there, how do we learn a secret trick, like kind of a psychological trick, and maybe can we stack psychological tricks and kind of like play these psychological tricks sort of like an instrument, and then somehow stay in the state of need, but meet our need. How do we stay in hell and meet our needs in hell? How do we sit in our jail knowing that we could escape that jail, but being like, no, we want a golden jail.
Yeah.
No, we want golden bars. We want a waterbed in the jail. Fuck the jail, escape the jail, and be free.
Yeah.
And those people who get it know, you can't give me anything, I can't give you anything, but I love you.
Yeah.
You love me. You're a fellow human. I have an offering to give to you, and if you give something to me, I will receive it.
Yeah.
And then things like money, business, transactions, dating, all that stuff, it just happens organically. You do have to lead. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not like no thought at all. Like you just sit there and say, oh, hello, and then all this wild shit happens. But it's a natural and organic process that I think a lot of people just don't get.
Yeah. I feel neediness is the one thing that just, it's going to repel the people away the most. And funny thing, there was a time back in the days where I would want just female friends. I wouldn't even want to do anything romantic with them, anything sexual with them. I would just want more female friends. I would just want to hang out with them. But as soon as they would feel that I would even want to be friends with them, that would come across as neediness. So I would be like, I just want to make friends. And then they would start acting like I'm hitting on them and I want them, versus me just being all cool. Then they'd jump on me, not only to be my friends, but also do all kinds of sexual and romantic things with me. But I was trying to be clean. I'm like, I just want to be friends with this girl. And I was so stupid. I was thinking that it's going to be cool because now I'm being friends and it's not going to be needy. But just the fact that you want to be friends with a girl is as needy as you wanting to be in a relationship with her. And it was
Because
just,
if you need anything, that's
if you need
neediness.
anything, and it's like saying, it's like putting it out into the universe, I don't want this. But that's what you're going to get because you're putting your attention right there. That's just how funnily these things work. At the same time, one more thing, when you just said that people are in that state of just that golden jail and they want to be inside the prison and more and more and more. One concept that we had back in the day was, how do you out alpha the alpha men, which was like the concept of amogging. And that would come from a place of, oh, these were all the people that have bullied me. Now I'm going to do things to bully them.
Yeah, and I was the main one thinking that.
Yeah. versus just coming together with them and just being like, oh, we're collaborative.
Correct.
Because like 2 days back when we went out and I was just socializing with anyone, I was partying with everyone, just giving out value, just fun and just being loud and just really funny and having a lot of fun with everyone. I had
You definitely did.
Yeah, I had
epic.
Yeah, thanks, bro. So I had this one African American dude come up to me, like really good looking, amazing, and he's like, bro, that shit was epic. Game recognizes game, and you're so cool. And that's like me getting validated by the dude I always wanted to be like. And it just felt amazing. And that happened because of that giving state that you were saying, where I didn't want anything. I just wanted to talk to people, just wanted to have fun, not needing anything, just say my own shit, whatever they're going to say, just use it as clay to mold into my own fun of this big entire night and just take the action. And that is when cool things like these happen. I met a lot of Indian dudes there where they're like, oh, bro, you're fucking amazing. And people just coming up to me. And I've never had that happen to me where people would come up to me if I was ever in a taking state.
Yes.
If I was ever in a state of judging myself, doubting myself, of being like, I'm going to this networking event or I'm going to this place, what can I get out of it? So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think the ultimate AMOG tactic, like the ultimate, to clown another dude tactic, is just to be coming from a base level frame of, I understand that this cannot give me anything.
Yeah.
I'm having fun adding to it. So say that you're talking to someone who you're attracted to, and then another guy comes in.
Yeah.
And you're both engaging in that very healthy organic process. And then that guy comes in and tries to become a taker.
Yeah.
The ultimate kind of clown the guy is just look at the person you're talking to, who's not him, and you just roll your eyes slightly. Like not even like not like
Yeah.
that. Just like I'm kind of like not in that mode, but I'll try to like reenact
Yeah.
it. But you're kind of like. That's it. Like
Yeah.
I'll do that again. But you just go like that. Like literally, just like you just
like-
like he's talking to someone that you're talking to. You're like, cool, bro. Good to meet you, man.
Yeah.
Like that. It's like
Yeah,
the slightest little look. Like he doesn't get it. He
Yeah.
doesn't get
Yeah.
it. And that's and it's like in a keto master. Me when I was younger. I thought that I had to do 50 moves and this and that.
Yeah.
And I definitely learned a lot about frames and frame control from that, which was cool. But really, it's like whoever is strongest in their frame and the least reactive. And this is another thing that a lot of people don't get. In any social interaction, there's one person reacting more to the other person,
Yep.
than that person is reacting to them. Or it can be collaborative and you're both in your own frame.
Yeah.
But if in any way, shape, or form you're too much in the other person's frame, you are then living through their sense of reality. You then are placing them above yourself.
Yeah.
And so they're never going to be able to see you in a light where they want your validation, such as
Yeah.
wanting to do business, wanting to socialize with you, wanting to have a deeper connection or intimate connection with you. That's not going to happen because they see you as pedestalizing them and as wanting something from them.
Yeah.
And it's almost like now this is where I'm going to go a little weird and out of left field here, but some people who study spirituality would have the belief that there's spiritual. This is getting way out there. We're going woo, but some people have the belief that there's spiritual entities, and these spiritual incarnate entities are basically almost like the golem, like needing something, right? And
Okay.
they're in a lower energy field, and then they see someone with energy, and they want to sort of like infect them and glob onto them so that they can suck off of them. And the idea being is that those negative energy fields are an energy of derangement and taking.
Yep.
And so some people believe, actually, this is getting way out there, but some people believe that we attract whatever vibration that we're
Yeah.
welcome to the West Coast, bro. But yeah, it's like whatever vibration.
We're in LA.
Yeah, we're in LA. So so whatever vibration that so to
Yeah.
speak that we're resonating at, if we become a resonant match for those entities,
Yeah.
they actually glob onto us, hijack our consciousness, and then try to reenact that taker golem frame in the real world. And whether that's true or not, you might have had that experience yourself where you went into a very dark, needy pit, and you might have also seen it in other people. And what you want to say is like, hey, brother or sister or whoever, it's like we're all one in our own way. That's that life force that animates me, animates you. We're all complete. We're all one, and we're here to add. And that and as we add, other people make their offering, and then we want to receive. And what receiving means, and this gets even deeper.
Yeah.
One of my energy coaches, Glenn Ackerman, he would teach me, and I think this was from Kabbalah, I think, but I can't recall exactly. I think Kabbalah. But basically, what they would say is, when you're receiving, it's almost like you want to have it's almost like an ozone layer around the planet. And as you receive, you want to take a pause and just say thank you and become very present to the moment and re-anchor yourself in presence before consuming. So, say that you're going to have sex or say that you're going to drink a chocolate milkshake, right? And, you just want to like, right? Like you're having sex, I guess that's how you do it. And then, like drinking chocolate milkshake, like just like kind of using the milkshake to go unconscious.
Yeah, numbing yourself down.
Yeah, losing the milkshake to numb yourself, to be in autopilot, to be in a derp state, to medicate trauma, rather than using presence for that. And so what we do is, what they would teach is like almost like an ozone layer. Same reason people might say grace before eating. We take a pause, and like we want to just smash that food, right? You take a pause, get present, say thank you, to reground in presence and to stay in our own energy and to stay in our own higher power, stay connected and tapped in, and then enjoy the beautiful gift.
Yeah.
And so in the same way, if you're having sex with somebody who you're very attracted to, rather than becoming obsessed with them and needing them, remember who you are. Remember your higher power. They're there, for whether it's a short time, a long time. At some point, even if you're married to them, they will die. You will die. You'll be separated at some point. But the only constant is you. And so, we make these connections, whether intimate, business, friendship, whatever, networking, we make these connections, and we can also see that energy that animates us, but through another person's lens, right? Like the energy that animates me animates you, but you have your personal DNA, personal history, everything from genetic history to personal history to nature to nurture. And you're like a crystal with that same light that comes through me, comes through you. But the crystal that is me is a little different. The crystal that is you is a little bit different. But fundamentally, if we are rooted in that light, then we remember who we really are, which is in a way of looking at it all one. Pragmatically, we're different people, but in a way of seeing that and realizing if we're all what anyway, that energy that you have, I don't need to try to chase the false light through you. If you are the real light, but if I thought that was the only light, then
you would chase me,
chase you
to get it. Versus realizing your own light that you've had it all along, but you forgot it along the way.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
Yeah, I think so too. And that understanding, and what I would say is that when you say grounded in that, so if we're talking, it's you've got like this big fame, this big brand, and you know me as a guy who learned from way back in the day, and all this stuff, and so like I could see you as somebody with a big brand, or maybe I'm trying to like get your audience over to me, and if I play my cards right, you'll give me your audience, or if you learned from my stuff back in the day, like I could somehow fulfill some kind of idea that you had of me when you were a kid, and like and all that. But they often say never meet your heroes, right? Because people are people. But the thing is like if we see each other in that way, that's a value withdrawal, right? But if we see each other as you are as whack as this crazy sounds, a crystal of your own life experience, your own nature, nurture, but shining God's light through yourself, that I could remember that I also have that connection to God's light, and that is the only thing that can truly fulfill me. Yes, there's pragmatic things like, hey, we could do some videos together. That's really cool. Great. Exchange audiences, or maybe just make a dope, badass fucking video. Great. Amazing. But if we remember that, then we come from a non-needy place. And then now, as if we're having fun, and this isn't dogging anybody else at all, but say somebody, who sees us and then they go, oh, they're on YouTube, or they're in a crib in the Hollywood Hills or whatever, and then they start looping on that. Now they go into taker mode, and me and you, like, I can say for sure I'm like this, and I really believe you're like this. We'll make friends with fucking anybody. Like, I don't care if a guy's the most low status dorky guy in the fucking block. I'll be his friend. I will be anybody's friend if they could just remember and stay connected to their inner light. That's not. I'm not like you have to stay connected to your inner light. I'm saying that in pragmatic terms.
As long as they're fun, to be around. Like with my and which is why I do not always agree with this idea of be friends with high value men only, because I just want people around who do not think of me as a high value man. Like how women say we don't want to be objectified. It's like how I feel like that I'm going to be objectified. Sometimes I just want to lose my shit and just laugh. And not be judged, and not be put on this pedestal that I'm the same as Guy, or I'm IronManLifestyle. I just want to, I just want to be like, it's me, dude. Like fuck everything else. Like let's just hang out. Let's just lie down. Let's just fucking throw in some farts and shit. Let me just make you smell my armpit hair and stuff. I'll put it in your fucking
smell
face.
The lights in here.
Yeah. And then let's just do like WWE shit. Like I stay with my roommates, and I like give them suplexes all the time. And like they're fighting with me, and we do like water fights. It's like we're just sitting, and I start throwing shit at them. It's like there's a roommate of mine. He's like a musician. He sits in front of me. Whatever I get in my hand, I just keep throwing, and he keeps catching it. It's like I get a bottle, I throw it at him. I get a shoe, I throw it at him. I get like fucking salt, I keep throwing it at him. And he's like, bro, something's going to break. And he's like this guy who gets really panicky, and I start laughing. And this one time I threw water at him, he threw water back at me. So I got like Coke and Sprite and shit, and I just fucked the entire place up. And it's like fighting with a pig. I get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. And I'm just not thinking about status. I'm just thinking about the people that I'm comfortable letting my hair loose, and they're not going to judge me.
And amplifying that light, because people that are status-driven, purely status-driven, they believe that there's something outside themselves to get. And when someone's fun, that amplifies that light. And I'll tell you, there was and as far as dating goes, there was an amazing movie that I've talked about in other videos, which was it was with Hugh Jackman. It's called The Fountain, I think it's called. And,
I've seen that. Where he becomes the fountain.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
He goes to the source, right? And at the end. He goes to the source of creation at the end of it. And so this is a real tearjerker movie for me. Like I cried my eyes out when I saw this. And basically what's happening is that Hugh Jackman, it's really wild the way they've laid it out. They show him in multiple timelines. It's very hard to explain. But the basic takeaway from it that I got was that he is trying to save the life of his wife. okay?
Yeah.
And so she has, I believe it was cancer or something. I don't know if it was said specifically, but she has some kind of disease. And he's a scientist who's trying to save her life. And she says to him, come out and play in the snow. Come out with me and, have fun with me. And he just sits there working and working and working and angry and miserable. And what he sees is the false light. He believes that she is the only manifestation of that light and doesn't understand that, we come and we go, we live and we die. There's a time to live and there's a time to die, and there's an end for all of us. And most people watching this will be watching this when you and I are dead and gone.
Yeah.
But just because you and I are dead and gone does not mean that light is gone. I would even say this, like, you'll have children, I truly believe.
Yeah.
I already have 3 children. My children will I hope, watch this, and they'll see me and they'll say, that was my father and that was his friend. And he's gone now. My father's dead. And what he does, what my children, what I want them to understand is, not only, DNA-wise, are you still running around just split up with your mom, and so some weird remix of me is already existing in you anyway. It's just Owen the motherfucking remix. But in addition to that, that same light that animates me animates them. And for my children to understand not to chase a false god, not to chase the false light, and to realize their value and to realize their worth and to realize themselves as, we as humans, we don't need to live forever. We have our children, and that light builds, brings life to those children, and we have thousands of years of genetic information that are in our souls to accomplish whatever we need to accomplish. Human beings have been through so much, and just millions upon millions of years, going back to being amoebas in the sea and our evolution, and all that genetic data is inside of us. And our ancestors and our ancestral data is inside of us, and it sees us just looking pathetic and looking needy and weird, and it cries out and says, this isn't who you are. Wake up, wake up, remember who you are. And we have not only that, but in my view, God's light also shines down upon us. And that light that we connect into, because we're not just, a person just like, oh, hi, I'm Steve, or I'm Fred, or I'm Kathy, or I'm Jenny, but we are a combination of everything from the probiotics that live in our gut, where we're like huge amount of bacteria, to the different cells, to the different chemicals that are in our body, to different hormones that are in our body that comprise us. And part of what comprises is that DNA, but also that energy of life, that light from God that we can tap into. And as God watches us forgetting who we are, it defiles God and it vandalizes God. And then we forget who we are, and that's the false light. And we fall into the false light, and we defile God from everything from just being losers that just waste our fucking lives on bullshit and just don't live up to our potential and live in squalor, and not seeing our own potential, our own God-given, the potential of our DNA, of God, of our heritage, but also in that self-forgetting, we fall into this fog of war, this house of mirrors. And in this house of mirrors, we're needy, and we think someone else has something for us, and not realizing that if done organically, we would just receive it.
And this is what the core teaching of the Buddha was. It was firstly, know thyself. Just know who you are. What are you made of? And we feel like, I am my hair, or I am my face, I am this body, or even I feel like it's my emotions, or I feel it's my heart, or my mind, or anything. But when you break it down into the smallest atom and you dissect it, where do you find yourself? Like, if you were to take, and it's so funny, like when you go for a Vipassana retreat, and I highly recommend you should go for it. Like, you need to go for it, because that's everything that you stand for, but on steroids. And removing all of the bullshit, all of the short form clickbaity stuff, and just giving you the real shit. Like, they will not even indulge in discussion. They will just be like, you need to find your own truth. We don't even want to talk about anything apart from what we've told you to do. Like, we just stick to the topic. So anyway, so they say, let's say you're in love with this person, you're in love with your wife, right? And you love her hair. The hair is, if you see the hair on the table, you're like, disgusting. If you see the hair in your food, you're like, disgusting. Suddenly the thing that you were in love with, now you're not in love with, isn't that the same person? But it's not. So now you love her nails, right? Such beautiful nails, you paint it out, but then they're cut and you see them in your food. Again, it's shit, all right? You're in love with her white pearly teeth, but she gets old, the teeth aren't there. Or if the teeth come out, you're like, ew, that fucking teeth. Each and everything about a person, only when it comes together, is we have this idea in our mind that this person is enough for us, or this person is the light. But what is that real thing that makes you you? It's none of this stuff. It just goes deep inside, and And this idea when you say that we want to live forever and we don't want to die and all of this stuff, on a granular atomic level, there is rebirth and death happening every moment, like every moment. And an atom is made of above, I think. So in Buddhist terminology, you call it Asht-Kalapa. So Asht means 8 and Kalapa means items. So when they broke down the atom, it also came down into like 8 things. I think it was, if I'm not wrong, like it was electrons, neutrons, and protons, right? So 3, 3, and 2, something like that. At a granular level, you realize that everything is just dying and it's getting reborn and dying at the same time. Like there's birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. And that's how the cycle of life is. Because that is how we get old. Like the hair don't fall instantly on like one day. They're falling at the same time. The cells inside the body are generating and going away. The dead cells are going away. It's giving space for the new ones to come back. But when we look at death, we feel like, oh, now we're dying. But we've always been dying and we're being reborn. And then at the same time, Eastern philosophy says, when you're dying, it's not like you're dead. You're being reincarnated. And the beauty about Buddha was that he laid out the truth of life. The truth of life was, he said, it's suffering. And suffering is caused by simply you being attached to something and you craving something or you being averse to something. Like, for example, let's just go with temperature, all right? If it gets too cold, we get averse to it. If it gets too hot, wait. So if it gets too cold, we're averse to it and we crave I'll say that again, yeah. If it gets too cold, we don't like it and we hate it. We want it away. And then what we want is we want the warmth. So we crave it. But there's never going to be a time where it's just going to be perfect. Like the warmth is going to go away. It's like you being attached to the summers. Winter is going to come. And at the same time, you're just hating on the winter rather than just living life and being like, it's okay. This too shall pass. And just being comfortable with it, being present with it, and not judging it as good or bad. It's just the seasons of the year that are just going to keep going. They're going to keep coming and they're going to keep leaving. So impermanence is the truth of life. Suffering is the truth of life. Till the time you cannot get away from craving and aversion, you will be stuck in this cycle of rebirth and death and just suffering again and again and again. But once you can get away from craving and aversion and just judging anything as it is, that is when you will really gain enlightenment. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. And I think, and that's so beautiful. I think that the way that you cognitively and subjectively and personally experience this that's different is that when you're trapped in the mind and in craving and in fixation, you're looping and looping and looping on how to get that thing that it is that you want, that you think will complete you or will give you the emotions that you want, right? And so you feel at a bit of a deficit. I'm at a deficit. I feel adrenaline. I feel looping. I feel derangement. I feel fixation. Much like, if you're really hungry and you see a great meal and you're just like, oh, right? But you're thinking about that of, say, as an example, could be another person, someone who you maybe have a crush on or things like that. Mm-hmm. And I've watched this in my own cycles of going through relationships and breakups where, I might have a really, really fun relationship and that relationship could last a couple years. Yep. And then we have a breakup. And that breakup, even if I'm the one who initiated, and I'm not always the one who initiated, but what I am, but both. It still hurts no matter what. Whether you're the dumper or the dumpy, it still hurts. Yep. It's often mutual, often just chaos at the end, And the thing is that, but you love that person so much. And unfortunately, it didn't have the staying power to last forever. And that's fine. Yeah. But you still love them so much, right? And so that love that you were giving them gets ripped away. And so your mind is now in the habit of giving love to that person. Now, they may not feel that way. They're like, you didn't give me the love, right? Because that's how they feel. But, you did.
Yeah.
And so,
but that's impermanence. Like, it's not going to last.
So you're in that habit of, like, you've opened up to that person and found yourself in them, which I think there's an element of that being healthy, right? Mm-hmm. It's not transactional. It's like a real intimacy. But what can happen then is that you're so much in that habit, so you lose them. And so your instinct is, I have to go towards the false light, and that's called a rebound, right? And sometimes a rebound can be okay in the sense that it forces you to realize that it's over, So sometimes there's like, after my last major relationship, I had a lovely rebound partner who was so much fun. And we definitely weren't going to make it as like husband and wife or something. Yeah. But she was a really fun rebound partner. Like she really was actually. So she helped me to kind of realize that my previous relationship had come to an end, and she was great. But obviously it wasn't going to go forever. But she was so fun. Like God could not have sent a better person just into my life for a little bit of a fun. Not here for a long time, but here for a fun time. time. You know, we
Yeah.
had a really, really fun time. She would go out with me, and we just have way too much fun.
Yeah.
Way too much, bro. Way too much fun. I was so lucky. But, you know, so that allowed me to realize that, you know, it was over.
Yep.
But at the same time, I had to recognize quickly, like, okay, I have to process what's happened here, right? I have to process that I'm single again, right? This was a couple years ago. You know, I'm single again. And realize that, like, you know, I will always love my ex-girlfriend. Like, that'll never change. Like, I'll
Yeah.
never love her any different. I will never love her any less than when I was with her, you know, even if she's a little frustrated with me. But you know what I mean, right? But, you know, I'll never love her any different. But the thing is that there's also sometimes two people,
Yeah.
it's sad because, like, I've had girlfriends where, like, you know, we were even friends for, like, a long time even before being a couple. And the friendship's amazing. And then the romantic relationship's even more amazing. But there could be some very vital things. I could even talk about that, but it's a little bit off topic. But there could be some vital things that just make it not compatible for what it is that you're, you know, for a long-term kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could go a couple of years, and then you're kind of, you took it as far as you could take it. It's sad, right? And it's truly sad. And that person has been such a beautiful, beautiful source of really sustenance in many ways, but also has added to your life. And you've tried what you've given what you could to add to theirs. They've given what they could to add to yours. And then that's gone.
Yeah.
And now you go back in that mode and you say, you want to love somebody else as a way to fill that void, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, if you could have, if a quick rebound is a way to be honest with yourself that is done.
Yeah.
It's very weird if you've been, you know, intimate physically with somebody else for a long time, and now there's like this new body there, and you're like, whoa, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, this is really done.
I believe we shouldn't romanticize breakups like that, though. Like, I believe if it's done, it's like, just fuck that bitch.
I don't have that.
You don't have that?
Not at all. No.
I'm just like,
I'm sure a couple of my exes would probably agree with you, but in
Yeah,
my case, I don't change.
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, I love them more because they're not going to annoy me anymore. So, you know, so I appreciate their presence in my life.
but then are you still attached to them? Are you still craving them and all of that stuff?
I guess what I'm speaking about is how I would get to that place, right? Because fundamentally, even your significant other, no matter how much you love your significant other, in my case, that'd be a her, it's still ultimately, to some extent, in a way of looking at it, in a way, and this is nuanced, so this is not entirely, but in a way, it's still, in some ways, a false light, okay? Now, your lights can come together and intertwine. That's beautiful. That's a real light.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember that, like, the light is still with you.
Yeah.
Right? So that love that you have for them, your mind instinctively wants to go back to the well and find somebody else to love to numb the pain of that.
Yeah.
But what I found powerful, like after my breakup, was I still went out, did crazy parties, went bonkers out there, you know, having fun, meeting new people, and even just spent, like, you'd almost call it like friendship dates with, like, beautiful, beautiful women that were really cool. But knowing that I had to be celibate, you know, and just saying, okay, I'm going to be celibate because I don't want to make you the false light. Like, I don't want to view you as the light. I have to re-entrain myself to realize, like, every human has that light.
Yeah.
And because otherwise, and I had some interesting experiences too. Like, when I was finally ready to get back into a relationship again, open to it. I just call it open to it.
Yeah.
I had a couple cases with different girls where they would, like, really, really be receptive and, like, really be, like, you know, calling me a lot and talking a lot, and we'd have a little fun. It's going good. And then I saw a couple cases where unexpectedly there was 2 or 3 of them that just walked. And I was really, really surprised by that because they were kind of the ones a little bit more leading towards my direction. If anything, they were more needy. I'm kind of chilling. And all of a sudden I would kind of, like, become open to them, and then they would just jump out of there, right? And some of them could be watching right now. They're lovely girls, you know, they're my friends, right?
Yeah.
But they would do that. And I was like, I see, like, a bit of a pattern here. I was like, I wonder what's causing that. But what I found was, with each time that happened, it helped me to recognize that was still a false light. It was like, because I still hadn't fully healed.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, wait a second. I'm still trying to find that light in the other person.
Yeah.
I need to reground. And then after it was probably, I don't know, maybe 2, maybe 3, depends what you'd call it. This is a while back. All of a sudden what happened was that issue stopped. Oh. And what happened was I suddenly kind of was enjoying being single again. You know, we were at our little party the other night. And maybe not in such a rush, you know, to have a relationship, right? I saw you lick your lips there because I know what you're thinking. Okay, I was not in such a rush, and really, really delving into being single, and suddenly, so going from not willing to be in a relationship, being celibate, to being open to it, saying, okay, suddenly being like, ultimately, the light is not in that other person, but I could be open to it, but we have that in us too.
Yeah,
and then rediscovering that grounding, and then what I found was, now in my dating life, the bigger problem comes that I'm afraid that I might hurt somebody else's feelings. Like I'm not, and so you see that draw towards you amplifies more. And I've seen that in cycles over the years in different relationships that I've had, where the pattern tends to be get really intimate with somebody, runs its course, and then you go out, you rebound, you realize that that's a false light, go celibate for a while, open another relationship, have some like weird stuff happen because you're still kind of looking to them for validation, and the energy's not right until you fully let go. And then all of a sudden, now you can be out with somebody and you're really just seeing them fully as a person, and there's not all this weird energy around it, unhealed energy.
Yeah, like you're trying to cope.
Yeah, it's coping. And what is unhealed energy at its core? And I suppose there'd probably be many ways of defining it, but I think a way that we could conceivably define it is basically just looking at another person as the light, right? And our energetic system isn't cycling and moving the energy within our own body the way it's supposed to, and it's like reaching out and leaking.
Yeah.
And that's where somebody maybe who has, whether it's borderline personality disorder, NPD or things like that, or codependence, which I think that I definitely have some touches of codependence from growing up. It gets it to where it's like there's supposed to be this beautiful energy body inside you that feels so good, but it's leaking and it's seeking someone else. Like it's almost like it should just be self-contained, but it almost like wants to like shoot a tentacle out and be like, come on, like could we just move the energy through my self-containment, but then into you and then back and then I'd be okay, because I can't just have it just cycling within me. And the more that you get back to, here's what I hammer people with. I go with 4 or 5, 4 P's, 5 P's. I got a couple different ways I do it, but it's like presence, purpose, presence, purpose, process, positive life. I give a couple different P's, right? But the basic idea being that
And profit.
yeah, and profit, yeah. I mean, hey, we'll add the 6th P, but it's like if you focus more on being grounded in being present to the moment, focus more on having a greater purpose, focus more on having a positive life, focus more on your passions. And you know what? Profit's not wrong, bro. Money's real. We're above the money. Money's real, bro. Having a little bit of money, it's a nice thing to be, to look in your bank account, you're stacking paper, right? And being in your own motion and your own joy of life. And then you're at a point where you can hang out with somebody and not be in any way, shape, or form at a deficit.
Yeah.
And then what you'll find is that I think that then love will find you.
Yeah. Have you checked out the love avoidant and the love addict relationship cycles?
Yes.
You're aware of those?
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say you're more into the love addict cycles that you fall into?
No, I think that I believe, and this is just how I feel, is that I think it's, look, I mean, I have things that I'm not proud of at all, things where I feel stupid. I mean, we've all made ourselves look stupid and be stupid and things like that. And that's when you open up to somebody, you actually give a shit. Like, the relationships that I've had that were casual and just quick and fun, I never did anything stupid. I mean, we've all done things stupid, but it was nothing dramatically stupid because, I mean, I get over a relationship like that in 36 hours. Like, if even that. I mean, I've had it where like I can forget about it within 36 seconds. Okay, if we're having fun, I don't know, it'd be like as if you met somebody out, you're having fun, or things like that. It's not a big deal, right? But the ones where you really fucking care, like the ones where you really opened yourself up, I feel good that I might be a bit embarrassed or been a bit stupid. I feel proud of that in a way because I didn't just tell myself not to dog you out a bit here, but just to say fuck them. And I felt that part of my brain saying fuck them. I could remember like times where, it hurts so bad and you miss them so much that you want to say fuck them because you feel an anger because it hurts so much. It hurts so bad and you miss them so much and you can't, and you have this vision for what you could have built together and it's gone now. And it's gone. And you don't want to believe that it's gone and you can't believe it's gone. It is gone. And I think what happens is, you can feel your mind going into, they never loved me. The common one you see on TikTok is they're a narcissist, things like that. They've never studied clinical NPD, but they're a narcissist, Or I'd recommend anybody to actually, if they're going to throw stuff like that around, actually go study psychology.
Gaslighting,
it's just pot. At this point, it just means that you didn't marry them. It just means you didn't give them a ring. But the point being is like, and I think even looking at videos about NPD can help people to feel better about what happened too.
And what's all of this stuff where people are hating on their exes and like when you break up. So like for me, when I say like fuck them, it's not like fuck them, but it's like they're gone. So now fuck them. I'm gonna do my shit. But I still wish them all well. Like
Yeah.
I've never shit talked about an ex. I've never shit talked about any girl that I've been with.
Yeah.
Unless they've like done crazy shit to me. But even then, I would never like take their names or insult them in public.
But what I'd ask you is this.
Yeah.
So when you're in to me, when I see somebody saying, talking shit about their ex, you don't.
I would never.
You know what it says to me? I'm like, well, then basically what you're saying is whatever we're building, unless it goes till we die, you're going to say those things about me, because a preview of what your partner is going to say about you if you break up is what they say about their ex. That's a preview of it.
100%,
Sometimes what they're
yeah.
saying could be true, but often
Very rarely.
it's their way that they perceive reality and the way that they cope with breakup. So the thing is that for me, I love any ex relationship the same because I see their humanity, and these are not women that had to date me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of a funny looking. I look like a dwarf. Like these girls could have been dating male models. They could have been dating guys with more money than I have. They could have been dating anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm a kind of a crazy dude, and they put up with my crazy shit. Like I'm the kind of motherfucker where like I mean, can you imagine what it would be like to just chase me around all day and like deal with my crazy shit?
Yeah.
So if they're gonna like actually like indulge me and try to support me through that,
Yeah.
I'm eternally grateful. Can it hurt when you break up? Yeah. And I found myself feeling that pain and saying to myself, do I want to allow myself to go there, or do I want to keep that love, but realize that it's a completed cycle now?
Yeah.
And whatever she had to learn from me, she got.
Yeah.
Whatever I had to learn from her, I got.
Yeah.
And we got good things from each other. And sadly, but also realistically, we probably also saw from each other what we don't want.
Yeah.
Right? For me, it could be that, if the person's a little bit emotional, I can tend to be very withdrawn because I'm like a 5-year-old. I just want to party all the time. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't. And then I just don't. I like to party. I like to have fun. And then, in their cases, it's probably they thought they wanted an entrepreneur, and then, I don't know, maybe they still want an entrepreneur, but they thought they wanted a guy who's a certain way, and then they realized, no, maybe I want a guy who gives me more attention or is more open to my ups and downs, right? And so we can learn from each other what we don't want, but still have that love. But here's the main point of why we have that love. We have that love because you realize that light that animates me, animates you, animates them. These are God's many forms. And we had time with that person, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then it ended.
Yeah.
But life goes on.
Yeah. And what you're saying, that's exactly describing the process of grief. So grief has 5 stages. It could be when a breakup is happening, or when somebody's dying, or when even you're moving on from one area of your life to another, which could be for most of the men when they're single to like getting married because they're leaving that single life behind.
Yeah.
Or at the same time when you have your school getting over and now you're going to college, or when college getting over and then now you're starting a job, or you're leaving your home behind. So there is grief going to be happening. And with grief, the 5 stages that the psychologist beautifully described, and which is what I've always kept in mind whenever there's a breakup happening and I'm moving on from either like whatever different phases of my life I'm navigating. It always starts, number 1, with like denial. It's like, no, it didn't happen. Like, you sort of deny it. But then very soon when you realize it is happening, then it moves to, so it's denial, and then it's anger, right? The next is anger when you realize that. It's like, no, what the fuck, this and that. And then it turns into bargaining. Then you're like, oh, please, baby, please come back, this and that. Or it could be bargaining first and then anger.
Yeah.
Anger later. Anything. So it could be anger first for some people and then bargaining later. Or like, I'm so sorry, I was angry. Or it could be like, oh, please take me back. Or like, you're not taking me back, what the fuck? And it's very similar to, if you've seen those memes of Indian men sliding into DMs of women, they're like, I love you, I love you, I love you,
the
I love
bobs,
you. And they're like,
the bobs.
and they're like, fuck you, bitch, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
What the fuck? So it like turns into that. When none of this shit works, then it turns into depression. That is when you go deep down and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And that's the time when you keep going for rebounds, where you think like, I'm going to get into another relationship. And like when you clearly pointed out, like it's happened twice with you, when you feel like, I see the light and I'm kind of getting there. But even then, that's not the right
You're
time.
not there.
Yeah. So you've got to hit that rock bottom of depression. Only then can you come out to like a stage of acceptance, which is the final form of you overcoming grief. And it's just that cycle that we need to come back to every time, till the time we just don't understand that, this is what is happening with us at every stage of life.
I think that that was an amazing description of it, especially, and I've had that component with the bargaining and being frustrated.
Yeah,
and it's embarrassing.
every
And
time.
It's very embarrassing. And what I would say is, going back on how we opened the conversation up, and we talked about the false light concept, I believe that life is meant to give us these ups and downs to
Yes.
help us to and to prepare our soul's journey for what goes beyond this life
Yeah.
in order to see what is the light and who we are. And so it's weird, but I felt like after my last breakup, and I've had many fun relationships since then,
Yeah.
that are shorter and that were meaningful, but they weren't as long as deep. I would say that I don't have that pain surrounding breakups again. And in a weird way, I feel that I can love more deeply. Like even the women that I've had really, really short but fun relationships with, I've loved like with a really open heart, like really, really, really open heart, really deeply, and had fun with them. And we had a lot of fun. And knowing like, I'm not gonna have children or a family with this person, but having so much fun and just allowing it to run its course and have fun. But I think that once you go through like that, it's almost like a little bit like the final boss breakup.
Yeah.
And that, I'm 44, so I've been through a little bit of that. The epiphany that you get is we're here to experience ups and downs,
Yep.
to deepen our connection to God. And it's the story in the Bible of the prodigal son, and it's in leaving that the return is that much more beautiful. And I think that when we lose ourselves, right, like a breakup, for example, that can cause you to lose yourself, when you fully process what's happening is that you are trying to find that light in the other person. And that doesn't mean that you can't see that light that's within them, that's within you, but you realize who you are as well and that you're already complete.
Yeah.
And it allows you to just go have fun with somebody. And what's funny is you can sense when you do need to break up. You can sense when, like, this is not going to go to kids. Even if we do have kids, we're going to be fighting all the time.
Yeah.
This is why so many couples fight. They're in with somebody who they're not meant to go forever with. But you had a vision for what you were hoping that it would be. And so you stick in there. And that's why so many relationship cycles are like, first third is amazing. Second third is kind of riding off the fumes of the first third, but it's decent. And then the last third can be really nasty as it kind of unravels, but you're not willing to give it up. And it's one of these things where, while I do think that it's good to try to resolve things, because otherwise you're just going around and around. But I think that if you can say to yourself, like, even when whether it's a business partnership, a friendship, a job that you're doing, whether it's a relationship that you're having, a fling that you're having, you can allow yourself to say, there's a place where this energy is amplifying for each other. And it's just literally just sharing that light and amplifying it like two logs on fire, making it double. And it's really fun for both. And then we've done the dance. The dance is complete. And we don't need to try to drag this on and try to, bear kids out of it or like jam a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
And I find that if you can just allow that to be there, right, and allow it, that as that relationship winds down, there's not a lot of fighting or bitterness. In fact, you both just like had fun. And you're even friends after, but in addition, and maybe you even wind up dating again in the future. But in addition to that, you feel yourself in a state of acceptance and non-resistance, and then it deepens that connection to being present. And there's a lot of views towards sex. Some people would say, wait until marriage for sex about it. And I respect that too, and I see the purpose behind that too. So I'm speaking more within a modern context of modern dating. But the truth is that some people are more about marriage, and I see value in that too. They have their take on that. I get it. But whether it's dating or whether it's business, whether it's career, whether it's where you live, whether it's life, you have to realize that our souls are in some weird way quantum leaping, from place to place to place to place, and quantum leaping through different realities. And if we can allow that attachment to the previous reality to run its course, having done our best to optimize it, to maximize, not just giving up on it, going, they didn't bring me a sandwich, quantum leap, I'm not saying that, okay? It's called being avoidant, right? But rather when there's a sincere understanding that that's running its course, and just going back into being present and allowing that presence to deepen and to amplify, you will see as your reality becomes more expansive. And that was a little bit even what I was saying as far as when people who don't get it, another thing that they don't get is they're like, oh, this is my big chance. This person likes me. I can get laid, I can get money, or I can get clout. And it's like, bro, like, you've got to go back into your grounded state, into your spiritual state, and it's your expansive state. Come here, make your offering because the cup runneth over naturally. Let's set our souls on fucking fire by having fun and laughing and having adventures and collaborating and doing cool shit together. Enjoy that while it lasts. Enjoy the beauty of the dance, the fun of the dance, the joy of the dance. And then from there, maybe there's some kind of a lifelong business partnership, or bear children from it, but it also may have run its course.
Yeah.
And you allow that and you stay there. You're coming from a place of absolute non-neediness. And what happens is that while you may, think back to the people that have been in your life, rather than missing them, you carry that person in your heart. Like in a weird way of saying it, when you speak to me, I am many of the old instructors that you see me work with. I am many of my ex-girlfriends. I am many of my old friends. I am my father. I am my mother. I'm a little bit, after hanging out with you, I'm a little bit you.
Yeah.
I'm my staff. I'm the people that I watch online. We're not just only Owen or IronManLifestyle. I'm teasing, but you told me to call it. So, yeah, I should teach, right? But we're not just that. We've been out there and we have benefited from our interaction with other people. And when we can carry that with us in our heart, they're never gone. Right? So those girls that you broke up with, or people that if you're a girl watching this, a guy you broke up with, or whatever, the same-sex relationship, whatever the case, they're never gone. They're always with you. The people that died, your mother died, your father died, they're imprinted into your soul forever. They're never gone. And if you accept what's happened, then you walk through life in a different mode of being. And when you can carry that into whether it's a business presentation, a sales presentation, a social interaction, going to a bar or club, you're carrying that energy. The energy is always moving out. And then you become that cool person that people want to be around.
Yeah. I think, I've got nothing to add, though.
You did it.
I think it's pretty cool.
Well, we had a beautiful morning.
Yeah.
So to wrap then. So we did our podcast for your channel.
We did our podcast.
And we did a bit of a different style.
For yours.
Yeah. So I popped off. You popped off on mine the other night. Yeah. And then we got to kind of do a couple things here. How do you? What I'd wrap with is, how do you feel about your life and your direction and following that light in your life?
I feel like after hanging out with you the past week, I've got to reevaluate for sure, because there's a lot of new paradigms that you've helped me see, and I feel like I needed to see that, because I wasn't being able to see that. I was just thinking, how do I grow the business? How do I do more of this thing? Like, I'm on an ambitious drive right now. I'm just on that drive. I'm gonna be on that drive, but at the same time taking your time, like when you explained that I need to take my time to be in nature more. So that's one thing I need to incorporate more into my life, and not just smell the roses along the way. And when me saying that, I got to make more money, or I got to, pay my staff. And you're like, bro, you'll make money.
You will.
Like, whatever you do, you will make money. And that just feels like a breather versus me always running on this treadmill, chasing it. It's more like a breather to be like, okay, I kind of know it, but it's like when you say it just reminds me of the fact that
I get it from the Bible, brother.
Yeah.
It's from the Bible.
Yeah. It just reminds me of the fact that I know I'll make money. There's never going to be a time where I'm just not going to, I'm going to let that happen, that I'm not making money. So I might as well go towards life with rather a dense energy, but like a light energy, smelling roses along the way and just having fun, like how you are whenever I see you out, or whenever I see you with the clients, whenever I see you with doing a seminar or doing anything. So I think that is one thing that I need to get back into my life for the past 5 years, which hasn't been there because I've been so much into the just let's get shit done. And it's like how seasons are. So I think I'm still in that season, but I think I could incorporate a little bit more of that and just see how my 30s play out. And being in a beautiful place, looking at, I think, the 5th morning in 7 days.
Yeah, bit of late.
Yeah. At LA. I think this is amazing to be here, of course.
Thank you, bro. So I'll tell you what then. How about this? So
Yeah.
you told me to go to Vipassana. It's 10 days.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you.
I'm gonna go to
something-
nature,
Okay, I'm going to
yeah.
ask you something that's just 15 minutes, which I want you to read the Sermon on the Mount.
The Sermon on the
Okay,
Mount.
and it talks
Yeah.
about that idea of having faith and walking in faith. And when it talks about walking on water, what it
Yeah.
means is that when we have that faith, we will be carried. You
Yeah.
know, and so we can't just be lazy.
I
and use,
feel that, yeah.
not use that as an excuse to
Yeah.
to be lazy or not to engage, but to use that to empower us and to energize us to engage. Beautiful things happen. You'll go in nature. I'll
Yeah.
go to Vipassana. Guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed it, okay? I'll look in this camera here. It's a new setup. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Guys, if you like what you learned here and this was meaningful to you, get inside the Blueprint Reloaded, okay? Because the lifestyle that we're talking about here of being in flow, making money, having relationships, attraction, fun, OG social skills, and crushing life, that's all in there in exercise format. If you like what we talked about here, get inside there right now. You're going to love it. I'll be seeing you inside of there. This will be our last video together. You're leaving
Yes,
tomorrow, bro. I'm going to
I'm
miss you,
leaving
bro.
tomorrow.
Okay,
I'll
man.
miss you too.
I'll see you later,
Yeah.
bro.
Okay.
See you, bro. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. I'll see you guys soon as well. And we've got Owen's podcast coming up on my channel very soon. Make sure you check out my channel as well.
Awesome, bro. That's going to be a wild one.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Good night, brother.
All right, bro. Cheers.